welcome to the episode of the What Bad Economy podcast. I'm joined here by my fellow product managers, and we're going to go ahead and just kind of recap what's been going on in tech in the past week. I got my main man here, James. I got Prit, Wish, and I also have Paola in no particular order. You guys want to just give a quick intro of yourself before we go ahead and recap what's been going on in tech?
Sure. I could start. I'm James, born and raised here in New York. Ex-finance guy turned failed entrepreneur turned product person, and currently um, leading development of bank infrastructure at one of the top 10 banks. But yeah, absolutely excited to be on here and shoot the shit with these fellow product managers and also jump into a lot more interesting topics. And so yeah, excited to join the group.
100%. All right, Prit.
Yeah, so my name is Prithvish. I have been in the fintech and banking space and building products for almost a decade and a half. I've been primarily in the payments, digital payments, embedded payments, and yeah, it's been doing good. And looking forward to leverage the current trends and build something big. So yeah, love to be part of this chat.
Paola.
Hi. So
Hey.
I'm Paula. I have been working as in startup actually. I think James, you weren't there earlier, but so I've been working for startup as a product manager, but before that, just been working from so I've been leveraging a lot of technology and learning about how to build products for governments and then decided to do startups. And guess what happens when you work in a startup as the sole product manager during COVID, and then another sole product manager for 0 to 1 product. So that's been fun. And now I've decided to just have a product consulting service and to help more startups to build their products.
100%. Let's get it. So obviously recapping the week. Anybody watch Super Bowl?
Sure did.
Who are you rooting for? I like just caught clips of it here.
I mean, I was honestly just hoping for a good game, and I was certainly rooting for the three-peat. It just hasn't happened in NFL history, and probably why I shouldn't have wagered for something that's never happened in history because there's a reason why three-peats haven't happened in the 50 or 60 years of NFL history post-merger. But I have faith in in the man Patrick Mahomes, and he got his butt kicked pretty handily at that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I woke up today too, did you guys hear about the thing with Elon's bid for OpenAI? That was like actually the first post I saw when I woke up today. Do you think he was
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
serious about that?
I think he's very serious. He has a personal vendetta to start, but I think he's very much against the direction that OpenAI has taken. The original reason for starting OpenAI was to take a very safe, sort of open source approach to developing AGI. And obviously, Sam has, gone in a different direction. And this bid is apparently very real. And so, granted, I doubt Sam's going to even consider it, even if it was a good deal, given their history. But it goes to show like how serious this arms race is and how serious people are about like protecting sort of the trajectory of AI as a technology.
DeepSeek, people. What do we think there?
I was just gonna say, like, do you think that he would actually do it? Because I thought that he also tried to bid TikTok and then he just decided to back off. And then now he's doing OpenAI. I just thought he just wants to just keep his name on rotation here. I don't know.
Elon's a troll.
I have you guys seen that LinkedIn post that was circulating?
Whoa, which
It
one?
was like a very like it was a former colleague of his, like had worked with him really closely for like 15 years and just kind of gave you his thoughts on who Elon is and what essentially drives him, right? and it's ultimately a consolidation of power, right? Like I thought bringing like the brightest minds, the brightest, most driven minds on the planet into government would actually help shake things up in a positive way. But you can't discount the ego element here. And to your point, Paul, I think like he loves hearing himself in the news. He loves seeing himself in the headlines on a daily basis. Uh, I just hope that everything he's done to like push mankind forward, um, well, goes a bit beyond just his personal ego, right? Uh, and I think we have to keep but I think we have to keep a close eye, right, with everything he's doing with DOGE and just yeah, I think it's something that as a democratic society we have to keep a really close eye on, unfortunately.
Democratic. It's not like anybody's really going to try to like. It's not like anybody's really going to try to stop him, right? I mean, I don't see anybody on the other side actually like swinging back at
The
him.
courts are. The courts
Uh,
are,
man,
you
he's
know.
never been afraid of the courts.
No, but I mean, like, is there anyone that's on his level, so-called? Like, I remember having a discussion once being like, in Silicon Valley, I mean, they're just, when you talk about ego, they're just thinking like, well, guess what? I'm just gonna own Africa then. And then that's what Meta did when it comes to like the solar stuff, or not solar, the mesh net thing a long time ago in Africa. And that's what they did there. So I mean, and then Amazon and Bezos did the AWS, and so they're just like shitting on each other, right? So in terms of ego, I think that there's quite a bit there.
I mean, when you give a group, a very specific demographic of men that probably weren't the most popular kids in high school and college, a lot of money, Elon before, like we see him with like, the motorcycle, like leather jackets and like, kind of like the rock star that he is right now. You know who he hired as his performance coach was Todd Herman. You guys know who that guy is?
No.
So Todd Herman was the mindset coach for Michael Jordan, Kobe, Serena Williams, um, and friggin' Beyonce. I don't know if you ever heard of those people before, but like so this guy, so so he wrote this book. It's amazing. It's called The Alter Ego Effect. And the whole premise is like he provides scientific knowledge and data and evidence to you have to be this other person to like achieve a lot of this stuff. Like if you were just like Elon or if you were just Mark, right? So when Kobe first got into the Lakers, he went straight from like high school to pro. And the coach at the time, I get they switched up the management team. And originally, like the reasons why he even took the deal was like, we're gonna play you, you got fresher legs, all that kind of stuff. And then he was on the bench for the first few seasons. And he really adopted this victim mindset of like, man, I should just freaking went to school. And like they're like, we need to get you like he's like, you know what? And then he kind of clicked like, I gotta be operating at the highest level. And Jordan was like, you need a mindset coach, brother. So that's when he developed this alter ego called Black Mamba. Right. And that's why like
That's really cool.
right. And then like Beyonce became like this, she heard about it from Kobe is like, it's like, yo, I get like this intense like stage fright. And he's like, I think that's kind of a problem considering your line of work. You're not making money off of music. You're making money off of shows in the music record. But mind you, this was like when Napster started coming out. Like we're talking about like early like 2000s, right? When like like, oh shoot, like people aren't buying CDs. Like I remember, I think James and I are still part of that generation where like we could still, I still remember people ditching school to get the NSYNC CD at Tower Records, right?
Yeah.
And Kobe, this is right around Kobe was like, you need to talk to this freaking mindset coach I've been talking to. His name's Todd Herman. I'm gonna get you a call, Todd. So like, she's like, that's why you see like Sasha Fierce, Elon became Voyager. Like he literally thinks he's like this fucking badass in a Japanese comic that's just like one man space show that's hopping planet to planet, like I know you guys ever watch that anime called like Gundam Wing, where that guy can just go. You laugh, dude, but literally these guys pay Todd like millions of dollars to be like, you can do anything. You can do anything. You can do anything. You're unstoppable.
He's, I mean, he's clearly got a framework that works, right? I'm curious, like what those sessions feel like. I don't know. I don't know what a seven-figure cheerleader grants you, right? But it's working, and I think half of it has to do with his roster, right? Like
Yeah, his
it's
roster's legit.
you're starting this whole mindset sort of transformation with the idea that you're working with a partner that's done it successfully. Mamba is, I mean, seriously, RIP, but like I didn't know that was the origin, which is wild.
Yeah.
And again, going back to just, I'm hoping that this guy's coaching Elon, not just ego, but maybe some empathy here, because I think that's really the biggest difference. I love what the administration, what guys like Elon are here to do. It's non-government people trying to shake things up when politicians just haven't cut it. But the biggest thing that I'm worried about that he's missing is empathy, right? Like being a business leader and a societal leader are two very different things, right? And that's been my sort of argument against this like unhindered sort of movement that Trump has kicked off, and I don't even know if he's going to be able to rein it in, right? Because they're already at odds on certain things, right? When Trump announced that like whatever, however many $100 billion AI program, right? Like he was, yeah, like that's my biggest concern. It's like, are you capable of taking into consideration the people, right? Because that's what it comes down to. Like, as a government body, you're not here to make America the most profitable. If that was the case, we would be doing things very differently, right? Um, and the fact that like government is in place, like all that waste that you hear about, frankly, is all contributions to the American economy. And so I'll throw like one stat out there, which I learned somewhat in the last few years as I've dug into healthcare, because I have a close friend that's, has a startup in the space, but a third of the US economy is made up by the healthcare industry, right? So like $1 trillion is spent by the US government on healthcare. And if you imagine, like, yeah, there's the argument that like all these pharmaceuticals are making out in the billions, right? The industry as a whole is way too fat, and that might be true, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the government is injecting $1 trillion into our economy, contributing to tens, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs, if not millions of jobs, right? Um, Hundreds of billions of dollars in economic stimulation, right? And so that's the part that if you go and snip that in the bud, like what are the sort of domino effects on the economy? And that's something that I hope these guys are smarter than me and can take into consideration. But the economy is a slow moving, massive boulder, if you will, right? And you just can't shove it along. It doesn't work like that, right? There are yeah, there's just a lot of impacts across the board that you have to take into consideration. And I mean, I'm just going down the line in terms of why I'm concerned, while I'm excited, right? So we've talked about why we're excited too. So
dude, they're seriously about to print cash. I'm pretty bullish on it because like if you take a look at the levers that they're applying, you have yeah, when you're cutting out all that waste, that's just money that they're throwing back into the US economy. Secondly, like if Trump can actually remove income tax, that would be you pretty much like because people like they're just gonna spend that money, right? Because that's money that they never really had before. They're not gonna hold on to it or invest it. Like some people will, but majority of people they'll just go out there and blow that cash. But that's also like if you guys ever read 48 Laws of Power, that's a great way to just get the mass majority of people backing you up because you could be pulling in all this fucked up shit, but yeah, we're gonna get rid of the IRS. I mean, normally I would be, man, I can't. You can't like you can't you at some point you just won't fight the dollars. And they're also making like such a big push for like going back in office that would really like stimulate like the local economy, like the restaurants and the shops again. So like I think from an economic standpoint, a lot of those levers are being applied, but you will see a lot of also negative impact, the knife that cuts both ways that like we won't see immediately. But yeah, I think it's also necessary it's just necessary to move shit faster when you're in the AI race against China, it kind of brings up like the next topic of DeepSeek. And when I was like in Hong Kong for Chinese New Year, I think these guys were just under lock and key to drop that shit before Chinese New Year to Jensen Huang. Like, you guys want to go home for Chinese New Year dinner? 48 hours before we light the fireworks and the dragon starts dancing. Y'all better have this. We want to make headlines. Oh, you guys really, James, what do you think, man? You think they really dropped, you think they were, with your AI background, you think they actually whipped that thing out like with 6 million?
There's no way that they'd whip it out 6 million. They're you just can't get to that level of efficiency without the infrastructure. But I do think that they were able to do it with a whole lot less than OpenAI did, right?
That's
That's for darn
undeniable.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
I think we're talking tens of billions, right, of dollars that were invested. And so it just goes to show like the innovation, it doesn't happen gradually, right? It happens in these like spikes, and I think we know that there's Moore's law. There's a lot that sort of contribute to that, but and I think the biggest thing with DeepSeek was their approach to building the model was operator focused. It wasn't to build a model for an LLM, right? And so like these LLMs made a lot of noise because we as an average non-technical user can interface with it really easily. Now, LLMs will only get you so far. Like how long are you going to sit there talking to an LLM, right? Unless it's trained to be like your psychologist, right? But I think that the real application is what can AI do for you, and that's where DeepSeek may have just stumbled across a sort of more efficient design for building up their mind, building up and training their models, and that's kind of what I think it was. It was a sort of a cross section of effort meets a stroke of luck with just the way that they kind of approach building their model. And so that's my take on it, at least. And I think that's how innovation happens. It doesn't always happen, right? Out of intent, right? And so I do think that they have like hundreds, if not thousands, of H100s stacked up somewhere. There's no doubt about that. No.
100%. A cousin of a cousin of a cousin freaking bought it, flipped it, shipped it. This is no different than like when my friend in high school was just packing up suitcases of True Religion jeans and flying to Korea back and forth and just moving that thing.
True Religion, I love it.
It's like, dude, those guys are still alive. And they're like, you really think we can't get our hands on a few H100s? 6 million. I can't really believe that. Like, having gone to China so many times, they drop more than $6 million a year on dinner. Like, no. Between that and Louis V, no way you guys did 6 million. No way. What do you think, Paula, Brett? You guys want to chime in here?
I would say like, I mean, have you used DeepSeek yet? Like,
Yes,
because
yes,
I
use
actually
that.
prefer DeepSeek than open chat sometimes.
Well,
Yep.
I used it. I mean, when I was in Hong Kong, I couldn't even open up. I couldn't even open up ChatGPT. So
The
yeah, I play with DeepSeek. It's pretty legit. Right?
I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't say that it's $6 million, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is cheap, mainly because it keeps crashing on me, to be perfectly fair. But I do understand that the labor is really cheap to build this. And so that's probably what I thought. Like, yeah, probably built cheap labor. The the IP is already there. I'm sure that there's no copyright law in China, right? Like they don't really deal with that whole thing. They're like, nope, that's not part of our culture. Our culture is copying, basically. Like they have that. That's actually like part of like a culture there. Like, is it
I don't know.
not? Like,
I don't know if I should be proud or offended.
but I'm pretty sure like that was like a
So
thing
you
that
guys
is
are
just
bootleggers, Rich. You guys are all
no, but
bootleggers, is what you are.
I'm not saying that. I'm
You not see
saying
the
like
shirt
it's
I'm wearing right now? I'm paying taxes in your country, man.
no like pirate like not pirated stuff, but like it's harder to do IP mainly like that's actually a
IP, they laugh at
no
you.
no it's
dropping the
actually
US
like
as
it's harder to protect IP or anything or I'm yeah your intellectual properties there because that's not really recognized so much unless it changed.
Intellectual property, no joke. You know, it matters less out here versus like execution. And
Yeah,
like I won't deny it, but like they will take they it won't be like the exact same like flip, but they will take it and they will really put some steroids on it. Like if
yeah,
you
yeah. So it's
yeah,
innovative, but
yeah.
there's the underlying
Copying
part of it.
100%. But you know, having been in like the having been in the digital marketing game a little bit myself, or you know, to try to fend off these other bigger competitors with much bigger pockets, it's kind of hard to just copy. Like you have to like they've gotten it down to like the Chinese have gotten it down to an art form. Well, they'll just take it and they will like freaking tear that thing apart like a freaking alien. And
Yeah,
they would
yeah.
really just like I called an Uber in Hong Kong and I got a BYD, which is like their version of Tesla. And I
Mm.
was actually in it. I was like, whoa, this is no joke. I think better than Tesla, but I could definitely see they probably, and I went online. Yeah, they got a few high-ranking team members that was part of like Tesla, not just like in Tesla China, but also like Tesla US that was in there. You could definitely see the influences. Uh, Prit, did you have something to chime in on this?
Yeah, one thing I was like noting, right? I mean, OpenAI, they talk about open, but it's not open source. And look at DeepSeek, right? They have the free tires. I mean, that is something that I really like about this part. Right? It's not just about the cost, but what are you offering out there? And if you look at the plans for the OpenAI, I mean, that's ridiculous. So that's something that I really like part, like being. I mean, they came out later, but the amount of what's coming up next would be really something to watch. I mean, uh, we really have to watch out for more from DeepSeek and all from the forest. They are just starting.
The being in Hong Kong for like I think like almost like a month, I was just able to go out there and you know for all my Hong Kongers out there, I know Hong Kong's not China, but like it kind of is, you know, like the Hong Kong that James and I remember doesn't exist anymore. You know, that's like that's almost as fanciful now as watching an episode of Game of Thrones, you know, being medieval England, you know, but like, yeah, if you take a look at these Chinese companies like Shine, Temu, CapCut, um, they're freaking like what you could do on a WeChat app compared to WhatsApp. Like WeChat, you could do everything from like it's the Venmo, it is the WhatsApp, it is like somewhat like the Instagram. You can book like you could book somebody to go out there, pick up your dog, give it a haircut, and like you know, on the way back from dropping off your dog, get your dry cleaning. Like if it was seriously even playing field, like you know, I got a chance to use Alibaba in Hong Kong, completely different experience than America. If they wanted to make it even playing field and like actually have the Chinese apps just compete with the Americans, like all right, we'll let Amazon and all those other guys come into China. You let us just let the market decide. I think a lot of those American tech companies would be in for a freaking rude awakening because they have a freaking sizable workforce in office cranking out, while people here are fighting for, I just work better from home, like they are doing 996 in office, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week is freaking coding in there, grinding, man. That dude, that Doge team, that little team of like, you know, X-Men New Generation, those kids, they got 1.4 billion of those guys whipping that shit out. It is not the same level, dude. Oh man, yeah, but yeah, 6 million, I don't think so. But DeepSeek, it crashed on me a lot too, but it was the only alternative. But it was actually not like, I was actually pretty amazed and proud to be like, oh my gosh, this came out of my mother, that came out of motherland.
You guys know it got hacked, right?
What
I
DeepSeek?
downloaded it and like deleted it the next day because there was like this massive hack on
Yeah,
DeepSeek.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why I haven't really I haven't gotten a chance to use it, but it sounds like you guys are enjoying it. And even are you using the LLM? Do they have an LLM?
I'm just using the straight up one on the website because it's just a lot easier for that. But I do find that it's so much, it sprouts a lot. It just talks to you better too. Like it has a better personality than OpenAI. I don't know how to explain that, but it explains things better to you. It has a personality that's not so rigid. And I just, when you ask for something, chances are it gives a better answer than OpenAI unless you've trained your OpenAI for the instructions already. But now for DeepSeek, you can't really do that yet. And I think they even remove attaching photos or attaching documents now because probably because of the hack.
100%, because it was built by Asian people. Like, because Asian
Security doesn't
people,
matter.
I mean, because Asian people naturally has like a very service mindset of like, what product managers should say, like the end user in mind. Like asking your average American to think about anybody else but themselves is like, I got a better chance training with Kim Jong-un for the Tokyo Marathon this year. It's not possible. Like, it's really not possible. I could say it. 'Cause I'm Asian. But yeah, I did like I
Technically
think we're
all
just
Asian.
gonna, I think yeah, we're all Asian there. I think we're just gonna see like I think we'll see like a lot more very innovative products that are going to be coming out out of China. So that's my own take on it.
They've been
Uh,
spewing out a lot of innovative products in general. It's all around the world already, except for the States or North America in general. Europe gets better Chinese products than North America because they get Huawei. They like
I mean,
they get the
I don't
Chinese
know that I'm
vehicle.
smart, but yeah, they do. Huawei. Huawei.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you look at the payments landscape, I mean, the way things have advanced in China, I was looking at one of the video. I mean, you can actually make a payment through your palm. I mean, you can't even think about that here. We are still talking about biometrics here. Asia, they've gone so far ahead. I was traveling to Dubai a couple of months back, and the adoption has grown so much there, non-card payments, and we are still stuck with the card network. So I mean, things are so different out there and so ahead. And once they come up, I mean, I don't know how long will that take to come to US, right? We are
Yeah.
still QR codes and all. They're so popular there in the East, and where are we there? We're so far behind.
Were we there? Have you rode a New York train recently, man? It's like Moynihan's the only train station I can say we're proud of. That's like 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 yeah, it's much more advanced here. I'm not gonna lie. It's much more innovative. I feel so much more comfortable living here. You know, thank God freaking President Yoon tanked the currency. I get to live in a service apartment in freaking Seoul for like 2 G's a month. I feel so good about myself. Uh, alrighty, let's come up with some of the other topics here. Have you guys seen the Doge team?
The young kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I think the youngest one's probably like 18 or 19. And then like they have like a few other guys that's like probably like 23, 24, 25. But they're all from like Elon's like, different companies and stuff. Have you guys seen those guys?
They're kind of being put online. The only, I mean, I really need to. Like, I'm not in the States, so all I know is whatever is they're like being put as mugshots almost in Reddit. So that's all I see in terms of like, oh, these are kids, nice. Um, but yeah, they seem young, but young people are the ones that want to prove themselves a lot. So there's that. Like, they're the ones who's gonna like do everything to like show themselves like, no, I can do it. And then yeah.
It's amazing that the White House like cleaning staff, they're like they actually reported like they've never seen people working this late before. Like, what are you guys doing? Like it's 8:30. This is like light night at Tesla. Oh, let us know if you guys need anything. But dude, if I was just thinking if me and my boys are like 18 and 19, we had that kind of access. I'd be out there like freaking Terminator, man. Who do you want to go after next? Department of Education. Let's get them. uh, uh, how do you guys feel about like the overall, like what's going on with the product management job hunting scene right now?
It's
For
I
those.
told you.
it's a different times. I can tell you that.
I
mean, it's very different. It's funny.
Different times.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been hit by so many people asking for jobs. I said, "Oh man, it should be the other way around." When we are reaching out to recruiters, there are people, reaching for jobs. I mean, it's so scary. I've not
Mm.
seen like this for the last so many years now. Even 2008 was not this bad. I've been through that time.
2000, dude, 2008 was like a spa day compared to what's going on right now. Dude,
Yes.
2008. 2008. James, you were working 2008, right?
2008.
Yeah.
I
Subprime.
graduated in '08, I think. Right? That was financial crisis,
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
the Great Recession, or whatever we call it.
You were right out there at the front lines. It's time for you to
It
serve your
sure
country.
was. Yeah, I think I do think that we are going to see a wave of job opportunities as we're seeing this innovation cycle, right? AI driving it across all verticals. But I think like the specialization will continue to increase. Like your average like junior to mid-level engineer will become obsolete in the next decade, if not sooner, right? If you don't understand how to architect and design systems, especially scalable systems, right? You are no longer going to be needed because Copilot's going to sit there and write it all for you. And
Yeah.
so I think that's pretty frightening for a lot of folks out there. And I think, your average sort of base level engineer should be well aware of that. Like your career is going to be obsolete
Yeah.
in a decade, if not sooner. And so
I agree with
that,
that
yeah,
100%. I was talking to a couple of default, so I've been Dave and Rich can say this, but every day I've been putting a product management, like just guides for product management, like what's a platform, what's an, like just depends on like, hey, sprint versus like product backlog. What's the difference between that to like what's an API? What's a platform? What's the
right.
difference between platform and product? Do you know? Because chances are you don't. Because a lot of product managers are non-technical, right? Or a lot of them, especially the ones that came a few years now, it's just like they're really non-technical because they every whenever they thought about product management, it's like you don't need tech, you just need to talk to the users, you just need to talk to users. But one of the people that just talked to me about it was just like, oh, I really love the content that you have because more people should learn about the tech stack. It's like, what's your tech stack? Because no one knows why the tech stack exists. in building products, and a lot of product managers don't really know that. And it's just like, why do you use Node versus React or versus like all these things, and then why you use like Firebase versus like AWS and all these things, like what even is your tech stack? And he was saying, actually he had a really good suggestion for me, mainly because he said I think it was like there was like 44 basically he said like 44% of jobs for product management need tech uh that type of software architecture tech knowledge, or that's what is being argued like from this blog. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, especially with all AI coming up, taking over the user experience side. There's like getting the user questions and all those things. Like you don't need much of, I wouldn't want to say easy, but you don't need the day-to-day grind of just talking to, well, you do need to talk to users, but how can I explain this? Like you don't need to just talk, you can't not know the tech underneath it all, especially since a lot of the products are now moving to platform, moving to open API, moving to all of these integration, AI, LLM, all those things. And if you don't know why, I mean, the at least software architecture underneath it, it's going to be very difficult for you in the future.
100%. Like people always tell me, like, Rich, I thought you said you don't need to be technical to get the job. 100%, but like you also have to level up to keep it. Like, I mean, this video is about to get edited by AI too. You know, so I also told my video editor here in Asia, you need to learn AI, yo. You need to get on this Descript and figure that out. And it's actually going to help you like edit more videos. I'm pretty sure you don't enjoy doing this shit manually. Right? So 100%. But if you don't have that AI technical background, because the head and director of product, they're sure as hell not going to learn it. Like too high up the food chain at this point already, right? So whoever's coming in, they got to. And I agree with James. Mark Zuckerberg actually already announced it on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was like, I think this year. He was like, you know, Meta, along with some of the other bigger players, like word for word, he was like, you know, you're gonna have this like AI engineer that's just gonna be able to write the code. And he very specifically said, people can fact check me, is like the mid-level engineers, you know, can actually do the work. That means like the junior engineers coming in, not even gonna have a job. There's not even gonna be those openings anymore. It's gonna completely cut those people out of the process. And when he actually says like sometimes this year, he's like in the beginning, he's already marketing it. It's going to be extremely expensive to run, but people are just going to find that it's just going to be a lot more reliable, and they're just going to be able to go ahead and scale with that. Because if I'm being honest, software engineers have been really lazy for a very long time, and they're about to actually get to do some real work.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays you can't go with the generic field. You got to be hyper specialized. And now the AI is making so many jobs easier. So there would be no, I mean, 67, 60% of people would not need to be there because that's what automation is going on. So it's not just getting into something, but you got to be a specialist in that. And without AI, there's nothing that you can do, right? So, and what I feel is like, this is just the beginning. AI is just reached the scratch. We are just scratching it up. So the way as the LLMs become more and more mature, it's been a lot more fun then, right?
Yeah,
What do you think?
100%. Like from the tech perspective, I from recruiting, they want to just get the most out of the human being. And like this work from home kind of like tug of war just really put AI on hyperdrive. Yeah, like back in like lockdown was March 2020, and the initial timeline to get people back into the office again was September 2020, which at that time they had like the Delta variant, right? And they're like, you know, gosh, seems like a lifetime ago, but I kind of missed the COVID times because it was freaking, it wasn't bad being in Korea during COVID. I was with good man James here. But like, like September's like the Delta variant. It's like, all right, so we'll let you guys enjoy the year. It is like January 2021, and you're like, nah, man, it's just like I just work better from home, and it's just like, okay, well, like let's wait for the vaccine to come out because there was like a little bit of a surge during the winter, and it's like, okay, let's wait until May. I mean, that's freaking dead of spring, right? Yeah, but I didn't get my vaccine yet. It's like, I thought you said you don't believe in the vaccine. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna get it. So 2021 was the year of Great Resignation. And you had,
Love
those are the golden years, right? Where recruiters were like asking people, like taking people out to lunch, like everybody had like messages blown up. And from the recruiting side, it was we cannot be held hostage by employees. I don't think people realize like how big of a deal that was. A lot of my startup founder friends, are like they had engineers that were working like two full-time jobs, and people just weren't working that hard. I saw a bunch of people on Instagram too. It's like working from home. It's Tuesday and they're at the Williamsburg Hotel rooftop pool. No, that is, I mean, shit. Like I remember I had all these screenshots and I just wanted to take it down just for memory purposes. There's a product manager came out of our program. I won't name his name, but he got a product manager job at Google. And he said the go-to market strategy wasn't ready. So I decided to be more intentional and give myself the permission to message my director and say it's not going to be ready by this Thursday. My director said it's fine. We can talk about it next Thursday. And I was like, you put up a LinkedIn post like that right now? God. I'm amazed you would make it to 10:30 Monday the following day. Like within 24 hours, they'll throw you out. So because they realize like, this AI race here is real. And the Chinese, they're working like day and night, 24-hour shifts. It's like military over there, dude. Their version of like an app academy is like a K-pop idol factory in China, you know? And meanwhile, you're like, but I just work better from home. And like, yeah, stay at home. Don't come back. So you're just gonna see companies double, triple down on AI. I posted up this one other referral that I just got. It was like a $350,000 product manager opening at Anthropic. That's like when they're talking about laying off people, like it's to make room for those salaries, and they will drop 300 G's in cash money for that guy or girl just because they feel like, okay, we're gonna get what we need out of this person. They're gonna hyperdrive it. But even those AI product manager roles at like the 300K level, you're really just buying time. Because like you're essentially just getting paid a lot of money up front to like, if you don't remain relevant, you'll also be out of the job within about like 12, 18 months. And then the next job hunt, you'll find yourself on a product gym live training Monday to Thursday. It's like, but I was making 300,000 at Anthropic and it was good. And they said I would work from home, and they sent me like 3 monitors. Like, yeah, they'll get you all that shit, Once they're done with you, they're done with you. All right, people. We're about time. Any kind of like closing statements for our little podcast here?
I mean, I think just quickly touching on like I know you're sort of a thought leader in the product space, but like the idea that maybe your first foot in the door, you know, allows you to just snag the opportunity without the technical background, but as verticals get more and more specialized, right? And as you look forward in your career, like you just can't survive without understanding basic technical and engineering principles at the very least.
Yeah.
If not understand how systems are designed and architected for use cases that don't even exist today, right? And so to be able to not only as a product leader look forward and have the vision for technology that frankly is currently in development and in flight. But to understand how to bring that technology together with the actual application, you're just going to need to beefing up them technical chops. And so whether that's, really working closely with your engineers on the job, and I try to make it a point to learn every day on the job, because you're surrounded by,
Yeah.
engineers that are very capable, right? And so if you're asking them to leave versus trying to take on that leadership yourself, you're always going to be left behind, right? And so again, I think it's a concerted effort to make sure that you keep yourself accountable, right? And so that's would be my only nugget here that I want to drop before we close out.
Yeah, that was the only chicken nugget they got. It's way better quality than the one that they got at McDonald's. Paul.
No, I think that's absolutely right. You don't even have, I keep saying this, like, you don't really have to know how to code here. I'm not asking for you to learn how to code. And because even if you do, I don't think you want to. And I mean, I learned how to code. You shouldn't pay me how to code. But the whole point is for you to talk to the people who do know how to code. And actually I don't even, you just need the concepts. You just need to learn the systems architecture and talk to your engineers about it, mainly because you can't even keep up. Engineers can barely keep up themselves. The technology changed all the time. They're developing, they're new. It's like, I remember there's one call I had with an engineer, and she was burnt out, and she was thinking like, is this for me? Is this not? She's a senior dev, and she was really thinking like, I don't think this is for me anymore, because it's so difficult to it's always forever changing, so I have to like relearn and learn all these new code and like all these new technologies that they have to develop in their stack, so basically, or framework that they have to add. So basically, we're not asking you to do all of that little like minute things. I'm asking, it's just like, if you want to be relevant, like that's what James kept saying and what everyone here kept saying, it's just like, if you want to be relevant and you want to still have the opportunities, because chances are the products that's gonna be big in the future are gonna be platforms, are gonna be OpenAI, AI plus gonna be Open API, like things that don't even have a UI on the screen. You don't even have designs. I remember working in 0 to 1 for the first 6 months. There was no UI. It was all API. I had to visualize the API. I had to talk to the investors, making sure that they're okay giving us their millions of dollars, because don't worry, the API is doing what you want. Like that type, like translating that thing, like that type of communication to different stakeholders, because you know what's being done in the product itself. So that's just so learn tech stack at the very least. That's my
Yeah,
closing.
totally. I mean, you guys are spot on. And as you get into the product management, there's no space for being a generalist. You got to pick up something that you want to master and put yourself as a brand. You are an SME in that. It could be anything. It could be crypto. It could be cybersecurity. It could be anything, any specific core. You should be good. You should be so good that you really can make that difference, because otherwise anybody can be in there, right? What is the reason that you would be the last good person? And that's something that and today we have access to information. You don't even need a certification for that. We have access to all the things that you want to learn, and as you are working there, learn, and then learn, understand it, converse, talk about it, and that's how you all learn. And that will make you, that will keep your brand stand out. What do you think,
Yeah.
Rich?
Yeah. I think that's like actually the most difficult thing is like getting, I'd say, the new generation of product managers to just be a lot less analytical and just more like just get into it. Like if you want to be the best of the best in your field, you should just want to learn and just immerse yourself in this as much as possible versus like getting the flex of like on your LinkedIn, like I'm a product manager right now, or like being like too scared to go out there and learn. Like you should just be on this thing all day, every day, just all the time. This is how I feel about it. James actually was with me from the very beginning. We used to run a bunch of live events, and then like I had to learn like YouTube, and then I had to learn like Instagram, and then I had to learn like how to write email copy, right? One of my mentors told me this about being your own business owner. He's like, did you know like 50 Cent, when he signed his deal, he would go and just hang out at the music executive head office, and he would spend like a day or 2 days like just like, hey, I'm 50. Like he would like look at like the CD covers, like which CD covers did, like now it's a YouTube thumbnail, like which CD covers did like the platinums, right? Or like he would look at like charts, like collaborations, and he'd look at like how they were doing like marketing, like everything. Athletes are just the same way too. Kobe saw Michael Phelps. He had he had the cupping marks in the back, and Michael Phelps saw the Chinese athletes do that in Beijing, and he's like, yo, what is that? Why are you guys doing that? It's like, oh yeah, it helps with like blood circulation so you can recover faster. And Kobe's like, does that shit work? He's like, oh hell yeah, man. So, like, so you should be you guys, like Kobe was the one that actually, a lot of people don't know this, was responsible for bringing cold plunge over to the US, because he heard about it from those like Viking countries, took a private jet, flew out there, got the data, hopped in the tub himself, and he's like, all right, I want to buy 20 of these, ship it over to LA. Everybody's cold plunging now. You want to be on my team? You cold plunge. Yeah. I want you guys recovered. So this was a fun podcast, guys. I can't wait to go ahead and do it with you guys again. We're going to be doing this like on a weekly basis. For all that want to go ahead and join, obviously we're not going to make every single week, but like I'm going to be here definitely. I'll go ahead and talk to you guys all very, very soon. And thank you, James, Paula, Prit. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.